Anime movies, anime but better looking for the most part. Anime movies are a staple of this medium. Works directed by the likes of Hayao Miyazaki, Makoto Shinkai and more are some of the most iconic, commercially successful theatrical flicks out there. As such, let's talk about some of the best anime movies. I don't really like movies, I think they're too short. I like spending more time with the characters and the world, and as such I usually prefer TV shows. I just had to put it out there. Amazing way of starting a video about anime movies, isn't it? In all seriousness, despite the limitations, there are a bunch of incredible anime movies out there, and here are 10 of my favorites. I'm making Instagram content now. This is the kind of shit you see on anime Instagram, but hey, I upload more than once a week. The idea well tends to run dry every once in a while. Anyway, here are 10 of my favorite anime movies ever. The keyword there being mine, opinions and all that, you know how it goes. This list is ordered by the way, meaning I'll talk about my favorite movie last. You now have a reason to watch till the end. You'll watch till the end, right? Look at me, look me in the eyes. You'll watch till the end, right? I wasn't asking, you will. A few quick footnotes. I'll only consider standalone movies in this video. Theatrical sequels to TV shows won't be considered because they have an unfair advantage writing wise. They have a foundation to build on. Also, I'll place a lot of importance on production value this time around, even more so than usual, which is saying something. This is because movies are supposed to look better and more polished. They are supposed to be high quality. The term movie quality animation, as ambiguous and meaningless as it might be, exists for a reason. Sounds good? Let's go. Number 10, Red Line. Directed by Takeshi Koike and Katsuhito Ishii and produced at Studio Madhouse. One of, if not the best looking anime movie ever, and to be honest, that's pretty much the only reason why it's on this list. There's not much going on outside of the optics. Space dandy but with cars. In case you couldn't tell, I'm not exactly a fan of that particular style of writing and humor. It's not my thing. Still, setting my own personal gripes to the side for a second, I feel like the movie knew it wouldn't set the world on fire with its writing, so it opted for a relatively simple, straightforward, feel-good story, and I can appreciate that. It used the plot as a vehicle, see what I did there? For the visuals. Speaking of which, good fucking god did this movie look amazing. I don't think I can do justice to the visuals in a section as short as this one. You have to watch it yourself. The movie featured over 100,000 hand-drawn frames. They love throwing that statistic around, don't they? And it was worked on for 7 to 8 years. Of course, not all of that time was spent in the production process, but you get the idea. The outcome? A masterclass in animation. The plethora of stylish, heavily detailed, fluid sequences animated by the likes of Shinya Ohira, Takafumi Hori, Yuichiro Hayashi, yes that one, Hiroyuki Imaishi, yes that one, Koike himself, who borderline corrected the entire thing by himself, Sushio and more, made this movie a generational classic for animation nerds like myself. Let's end this section on that positive, uplifting note and not talk about the aftermath of the project. Number 9, Blue Giant. Directed by Yuzuru Tachikawa and produced at Studio Nut. Real studio by the way. Blue Giant is a music anime centered around jazz and it's incredible. From the writing to the presentation, it doesn't leave much to be desired. Plot-wise, the movie isn't convoluted. It employs a fairly straightforward narrative, allowing the characters and their sheer passion for music do most of the talking. To quote myself from a year back, the characters like jazz and so they play jazz. This aspect is perfectly complemented by the breathtaking visuals. These were animated by the likes of War Creek, Shinichi Kurita, Hiromatsu Shu and more. The performances from an audiovisual point of view were mesmerizing. They were genuinely captivating. The audio hooked you in and the visuals switched between CGI and rotoscope aided realism and Hiromatsu Shu aided abstract mindfuckery. It wasn't all good though. I felt like the third act of this movie was a bit too overdramatic and out of nowhere, which is one of the many problems with the movie format. Due to the short runtimes, the third acts can often feel undeserved and quite frankly unnecessary. Despite the underdeveloped third act, the movie was a fun watch. It was in my top 5 anime of 2023 if my memory serves me right. Number 8, Fate Grand Order Camelot 2. Directed by Kazuto Arai and team and produced at Studio Production IG. Another project that's on this list mainly due to its visual prowess. This was one of the most absurd flexes excess of animation power ever. From start to finish, it was an absolute treat for the eyes. Sakuga here, Sakuga there, Sakuga everywhere. They should have used that as the synopsis instead of this. Jerusalem, Bedivere, the Round Table, who gives a f***? How about Sakuga, Sakuga and Sakuga? In all seriousness, the movie was extremely interesting from a technical point of view. You see, director Kazuto Arai decided to entrust parts of the movie to different people, mainly Go team members, and these unit directors were basically allowed to do whatever they wanted visually. As a result, we got a product brimming with artistic identity. If you knew what to look for, you could easily spot the mannerisms of certain directors and animators during certain sections of the movie, especially people like Hakuyo, Itsuki Tsuchigami, and Takumisu Nagohara. Just like Redline, I can't really do justice to the quality through my words alone, especially not in a short section, so you'll have to watch it yourself if for whatever reason you haven't already. Plot-wise, it was fine. It's a Fate IP, so of course it maintained a base level of competency on the writing front, but between this not being the most faithful adaptation in the world, and me, as well as almost everyone else watching it out of context, the writing didn't really grab my attention. Fantastic visuals though, good god. Number 7, Weathering with You, directed by Makoto Shinkai and produced at Studio Comics Wave Films. The best Shinkai movie in my opinion, and I can say that because I've seen every single thing the man has directed, even that one 6-minute thing. Weathering with You to me is the best version of every Makoto Shinkai-ism out there. The simple romance-driven plot, the supernatural component, the angst, the wholesome conclusion, it had it all. I'd be lying if I said I didn't prefer the older Shinkai flicks in terms of pacing and world building. They had deliberately slow tempos and strong tones of fantasy, but as an overall movie, every factor included, Weathering with You is the best thing in his filmography. The story is perfectly high stakes. Neither is it too reliant on the third act like Your Name, nor is it overly dramatic and large scale as Suzume. It's the middle ground. Also, the characters are charming and compelling more so than your usual Makoto Shinkai work, and besides all that, the movie looked stunning, which is to be expected. Of course, it wasn't as good as Your Name because of reasons I've covered before, but it looked incredible regardless. It's a Shinkai movie, of course it did. Great watch overall. Sidebar, I highly recommend checking out Shinkai's pre-Your Name, scratch that, pre-Garden of Words movies. I'm not saying they're perfect, far from it, but they have a unique feel to them. Number 6, Inuo, directed by Masaki Yuasa and produced at Studio Science Saru. I'll be honest, it's nearly impossible to describe Inuo using words alone, especially in a video where the time allotted to it is limited. The movie is an audiovisual acid trip that has zero regards for traditional story structures, world building, and even the confines of time. It throws any and all semblances of sanity out of the window to craft a narrative that relies almost entirely on, I don't even know, vibes? That makes it sound cheap, that's not what I meant. Inuo is primarily a music anime. More than half of the movie's runtime consists of musical performances, but it has strong tones of history, the supernatural, and most importantly, surrealism. I can't stress this enough. Watching characters from medieval Japan play a modern rock song with absolutely no context fried my brain. How do you even think of that? Like I said, the movie gladly abandons normalcy in an effort to get its ideas across. All of this was of course accompanied by Masaki Yuasa's idiosyncratic, eye-catching art style and aesthetic. This only made the surrealism more, well, surreal. The movie also featured plenty of animation power courtesy of names like Norio Matsumoto, Takafumi Hori and Shuto Enomoto. Can't really go wrong with that, can you? Again, I can't do it justice with my words alone, please give it a watch. Number 5, Look Back, directed by Kiyotaka Oshiyama and produced at Studio Durian. The most recent entry on this list, by the way. Look Back is a phenomenal work that focuses on the joys and the sorrows of creating art. It's also the only anime that made me cry ever. The scene with Fujino skipping home after being complimented, that one got me. The movie, for most of its runtime, is simple. Just two artists with mutual admiration for each other's art doing their thing. The most exciting thing that happens is the two hanging out and spending the money they won in a competition. The most dramatic scene is one where Kiyomoto decides to go to an art school. You get the idea, right? It's subtle, it's not too overdramatic, it feels lifelike, it feels human. Sadly, the same can't be said about the final act. I've talked about this before. I felt like the final act of this movie was unnecessarily dramatic. Yes, I now know it was a reference to the KyoAni arson attack, and no, I'm not downplaying that real life tragedy. I'm simply looking at a fictional work as its own own isolated thing and not conflating it with real life occurrences. And from that point of view, the third act was too much. The movie did do a fantastic job with what it had to adapt, but the actual content was a bit iffy. Still, the story/writing was absolutely phenomenal, and so were the visuals. I'm not exaggerating when I say this. Look Back features some of the best 2D animation ever. Be it large-scale background animation, be it hyper-realistic weighty character acting, be it some of the most expressive character animation ever, it had it all. This movie was director Kiyotaka Oshiyama's passion project. He directed and storyboarded the whole thing, he designed the characters, he animated half the movie himself, quite literally, and he corrected the other half. How did he do all that? I have no f***ing idea, but his passion bled into the actual narrative in the best possible way. Such an amazing watch. Number 4, Pompo the Cinephile, directed by Takayuki Hirao and produced at Studio Clap. A movie that's about making movies, Pompo the Cinephile presents a fascinating look at the inner workings of a director's mind. It's a tight, fun watch that highlights the struggles of filmmaking with particular emphasis on editing. Like, seriously, look at this. There's no way the real thing is this epic. Besides that, the characters are likable, the narrative is well paced, it's a good movie all around. Also, I have a personal interest in the subject of direction, so I found it to be particularly insightful and engaging. Speaking of which, a movie that's all about direction had no other choice but to be well directed, and thankfully it was. Hirao knocked it out of the park with this one. The fantastic shot compositions, the snappy fun transitions, the tight pacing, it was insanely fun to look at. I highly recommend giving it a watch. Number 3, Paradox Spiral, aka the 5th Karanokyoukai movie, directed by Takayuki Hirao, yes, the same guy as the last one, and produced at Studio Ufotable. Now, I know I said I won't consider sequel movies for this video, but this one is a bit of an anomaly. You see, every single Karanokyoukai project out there is a movie, so technically speaking, this is not a sequel to a TV show. Alright, I know that's still cheating, but to account for that, I decided to only include a single movie from this series. Believe me, if it wasn't for that rule, this list would have at least 2 other projects from this series in it. With all that out of the way, let's talk about the movie itself. Paradox Spiral, in my opinion, is the best the K&K series has to offer, and a lot of the credit should go to Takayuki Hirao's direction and the efforts made by the team at Ufotable. While the first 4 movies juggle between establishing the premise, setting the tone, and getting the narrative going, movie 5 goes full Kinoko Nasu and tells a harrowing, gripping, climactic story with a faster than usual pacing. The movie houses the first of the 2 major confrontations the series has to offer, and it does it justice. I won't spoil the events, but it was good in, again, a very Kinoko Nasu way. Visually, the movie was a masterpiece. Hirao's use of time in the form of tempo, non-linear narratives and time-based imagery, visual storytelling and dynamic shot compositions made this flick an absolute joy to watch. And besides that, the movie featured tons of incredible, grounded action storyboarded and animated by Tetsuya Takeuchi. Overall, it was an absolutely insane audiovisual experience. If you haven't seen it, you're missing out. Number 2, A Silent Voice, directed by Naoko Yamada and produced at Studio Kyoto Animation. If there's one thing director Yamada is flawless at, it's making her characters feel more human. Be it through their behavior, their subtle body language and mannerisms, Naoko Yamada characters feel like real people, and a movie like this needed that. The whole thing centers around human drama. It's about how people change and grow, how they accept themselves and their past actions. It's about overcoming your self-loathing and guilt. Concepts like that need delicate and methodical direction and animation, and this movie had that. Again, directed by Naoko Yamada and produced at KyoAni, not exactly a surprise. I've heard that the movie isn't a good adaptation. Some say it's not faithful to its source material. If you've read the manga, feel free to comment down below if that's true. Here's the thing though, I haven't read the manga, so to me, the movie is perfect from start to finish. There's nothing wrong with it. That one scene near the end when the crosses fall, absolute cinema, both figuratively and literally. And number 1, my favorite standalone anime movie is Makia When the Promised Flower Blooms, directed by Mari Okada and produced at Studio PA Works. This is special, like really special. It might sound cheesy, but Makia absolutely destroyed me upon first viewing. The movie weaves aspects of fantasy and realistic human drama together perfectly, presenting a vast yet compact story that's emotionally compelling to an unfathomable degree. The main narrative device used by Makia is time, starring a main character who belongs to a group of people literally incapable of aging, the movie deals with the concept of immortality in an incredibly grounded yet fascinating manner. It's similar to Freerun in that aspect, but it's even better in my opinion. The movie explores the topics of love and attachment. It presents life as fleeting and fragile. It presents the story from a metaphorical bird's eye view courtesy of our borderline immortal protagonist. It's just perfect all around. That ending? It was something. Visually, the movie is jaw-dropping. The meticulous direction, the fantastic art direction, the mind-blowing animation, it had it all. Look at this is 2D. Toshiyuki Inoue, you insane individual. Just like every other entry on this list, it's difficult to do it justice with my words alone, so you need to check it out for yourself. If nothing else, then this one. And that should just about do it. This was just a random, hopefully easy to edit idea. Hope you guys liked it. If you did, make sure to press the like button, subscribe to the channel, check out this other bit of content on screen, and until next time.